And it wasn't until I started cooking professionally and became an adult that I realized, like, the premise of Mountain Jacks was fantastic. The food maybe not quite as delicious as I remembered it as a child. But so what we did was we wanted to do prime rib tonight, so we bought beautiful prime bone-in ribeyes, and we aged them at Bola for 30 days, and brought them prepared, trimmed them, and slow roasted them, and rubbed them with a little bit of garlic and horseradish and lemon, and with that we're going to serve it with. When I was my mother's Greek and Sicilian, which makes her very even-tempered. But it makes her a wonderful cook too. So when we were a kid growing up, she used to do, whenever there was like a vegetable that maybe she knew my sister Nikki and I didn't like, she would say, I'm going to make it Sicilian style, because we loved that style. And it was with plumped golden raisins and pine nuts and capers and anchovies. And she didn't tell us about the anchovies when we were kids. I didn't figure that out until I was an adult. And a little bit of chili flake and extra virgin olive oil and some citrus. And she would do it with like broccoli rabe, she would do it with cauliflower, she would do it with whatever vegetable was in season. So tonight we're doing it with cauliflower, which I think is really kind of one of those wonderful, wonderful, underrated vegetables. Like, everybody loves broccoli, you know, because it's green, I think, but the poor pale cauliflower just gets a bad rap. But this is a really delicious version of it, and I think the acidity in it, the brightness of it goes wonderfully with the prime rib, and also on the prime rib, we're taking golden beets and shaving them with fresh horseradish. So again, something bright. Like, I don't like, when I'm doing something rich and fatty, I always want it to be served with something that's kind of acidic and bright. Like, I would never serve a steak with mashed potatoes, which I know is kind of a classic Midwestern thing, but to me it's like fat on fat, and it doesn't work well. So when I have fat, I want brightness and acidity, so that's why those pairings work so well for me.
And you'd be surprised to know that Mountain Jacks is pouring this by the glass. This red wine is currently featured. But we're channeling our southern Italy here and going to the region of Basilicata, which in southern Italy, you have the toe, which is Calabria, and the boot, which is Puglia, and in the middle, kind of there in the arch, is Basilicata. And they have a grape, the workhorse grape of southern Italy, of Campania, and Basilicata is called Aglianica. It's a full-bodied, dark grape that brings a lot of fruit and tannins, and it's really got a little earthy element, and it's going to go great with the prime rib tonight. And the beer that I did is actually local. It's from Warrenville, Illinois. It's from Two Brothers, which is founded by two brothers. Imagine that. They started in 1996, and they just introduced this beer. It's called Revelry, and it's an imperial red ale. It's actually fermented in large oak casks. Be careful, 9.5% alcohol. It will bite you back a little bit, but it goes to show that with beer, you can go from lighter to fuller. You can go from seafood to red meat. You can really run the gamut with beer. So.
And for me, like, my wife is a sommelier, and so we always argue about, like, for me, it's all, I like beer. I think beer goes better with most foods than wine. Obviously, she tends to disagree with me strongly on most of those choices. Yes, of course you do. But but there's so many interesting beers now that they really do pair up great with food. The next course is, in Cleveland we have this enormous Eastern European influence in our cuisine of the city. So growing up as a kid and to this day, like, pierogies are like, it's like I'm surprised it's like not on the state flag. Right up there. So the version that, like, usually they make them, like the ones that you get at like churches and stuff like that are potatoes and cheddar, or a farm cheese. So we wanted to kind of pump them up a little bit. So we made pierogies tonight. We're serving them with caramelized onions, which is very traditional. But when we whip the potatoes, we whip them with a little bit of creme fraiche and Emmentaler cheese, which is a really gorgeous, nutty Swiss cheese, and they're really, really special. So if you've had pierogies before, I would recommend you try them. If you've never had pierogies, you should try them. It's essentially how the Polish would make raviolis, but it's a better, like, heartier dough, and they fry them in butter. So I mean how bad it's got to be good. And next to those, because we're giving you the heart stopper pierogi, we're doing serve it with a side of lipitor. No, but not lipitor, but very close. We're taking a Caesar style salad, but we're doing it with kale, which to me is really like the super great. Like, it's delicious, it's delicious raw, it's delicious cooked, it's incredibly good for you. And it's probably a green that I eat 4 to 6 times a week in some form, because it's just so tremendously versatile.
And I decided for this parent to stick within kind of the Eastern European roots, and so I'm actually doing a beer and a wine from the same country. Stiegel is a classic brewery in Salzburg. They use a type of hop called Saaz hop, which just gives it a little bit of hop to it. It's not a big bitter style IPA, if you will. With it also we have a wine from southern Austria. It's from a region called Styria, which is one of the most beautiful regions in Austria. It's actually kind of a warm climate, and they have a lot of different white varietals that they grow there. And this one is made from Grauburgunder, which is just their way of saying Pinot Gris. So it's not the real light, crisp style of Pinot Gris that you'll get from Alto Adige in Northeast Italy. This is actually a little richer, and it works well with some of that kind of fattiness with the butter and the Emmentaler and all of those things. So.
Okay. So there's one more savory and then 2 desserts. We want to make sure you're very full when you do options. Life's about options, so we're giving you a lot of choices. This is a dish that I've been making since childhood with my mom, and I make it once a week, especially this time of year when it's a little cold outside. And it's my, in this day and age, boneless, skinless chicken has become very popular. I think it should just go away forever. In case anyone was curious, chicken needs both bones and skin to be delicious. So, and the best cut of the chicken, in my opinion, is also the most inexpensive, but the most flavorful cut is the thigh. So, we did some pan-braised thighs, and with a little bit of stock, and rutabaga, and carrots, and parsnips, a little bit of sandwich, tomatoes, and we braise them down with hearty greens, like sometimes we'll use kale, or Swiss chard, or even collards, or just greens that kind of break down really slow. We cook them together, we top it with a breadcrumb mixture with like day-old bread that we fried up in some extra virgin olive oil with some lemon zest and parsley just to give it a little bit of texture on top. And then there's just going to be 2 desserts that we're going to do. One, I'll start demoing about 10 minutes after you guys start eating, just a very quick demo. It's, again, kind of like the prime rib story. It's Cherry's Jubilee. And so, like, when you were a kid and you would go out, some of you guys are too young, but when you were a kid and you would go out, they would, like, turn the lights down in the restaurant, and they'd light stuff on fire, and that meant things were good were going to happen. Exciting stuff. So we're just kind of updating it a little bit. I'm going to serve a little lemon pound cake, a little bit of vanilla bean ice cream. So, like, almost like granola almond and granola style almonds and some orange zest. And something that has really nothing to do with the 60s, but I just find them delicious. We made homemade yeast-style donuts. So not the kind of donuts that you're kind of used to, but yeast-risen. They're kind of, we treat them almost like a sourdough, where we let them get a little bit funky, and then we fry them up, and we did glazed, just a simple glazed once, and then once glazed in chocolate ganache. So those will be coming out after you guys get your savory food too.
And with the chicken, it's such an interesting topic with wine pairings, because people always say, oh, white wine with poultry, turkey, chicken. That's if you were eating boneless, skinless chicken. Right? But here you have to listen to what's in the dish. You're talking about chicken thighs, so you have a little bit more of that kind of that dark meat, that intensity. You're talking about the addition of some San Marzano tomatoes. So immediately I went to red. I wanted to do something a little bit lighter. I actually used I brought in a Rhone varietal red. It's a grape called Carignan. It originates in the Languedoc in the south of France. But this is actually grown in Alexander Valley, California. Real up-and-coming producer named Brock Sellers. And it's a style called whole cluster fermentation, carbonic maceration, where they trap the grapes in a tank, take out the air, and the natural yeast starts to feed off of it and create this very bright, fruity, fresh red wine. So it should really be really nice with the chicken tonight. And then the beer, of course, shout out to Cleveland Beer with Great Lakes. 25 years in 2013. And this was one of their first beers that they produced called Elliot Ness, which is an amber lager.
I've drinking many of them. They're delicious. But But that's it, you guys kind of enjoy the food, and since you all do blogger and social media, I would just like to say to you, get on the No Boneless Skinless bandwagon with me. It's so much fun. And then also, like, stop eating beef tenderloin forever, and we will be one big happy family. But you guys, thank you so much. Like I said, I'm going to do the demo. Unfortunately, shortly after that, I gotta run out and catch a plane, so I'm back in New York and don't get fired from that sweet, easy TV gig. Which at my age is, I really like it. So, but thanks so much for being here tonight. I hope that you enjoy the food. I hope that you get to continue to look at the Calphalon and stuff and enjoy it like I have over over half of my lifetime now. So it's always been a very special brand to me for numerous reasons. It's great to cook with, it's great to look at, and it's extremely adorable.
Do you use it on the chew?
We do use it sometimes on the chew,
Oh,
yeah.
awesome.
I mean, TV world works a little bit different.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's I don't know how they get certain hands-on and how all that. So I just know that I need to go up for an hour and be friendly to people and laugh at Mario's terrible jokes.
Oh, yeah.
So that's more what I focus on. Cook a couple good dishes, make sure I'm dressed okay so Clinton doesn't yell at me, and laugh at some of Mario's jokes, and that's how we do it every day. So, but thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.